Welcome to Physics 2055. It's real nice to have you in the class. I had been hoping that we'd be having our classes in person, and it's a little disappointing that we have to start remotely. I am, however, keeping my fingers crossed that we only have to do 10 of these remote lectures, and then we'll be able to be on campus starting February 1st. This is an introductory video just to go through the basics of the syllabus and a primary details of the course. Physics 2055 is a continuation from Physics 1051. It's pretty nice because we can get into some more details of things we started in 1051 and apply calculus to analyze some of the systems to more fully explain them. The syllabus is now posted. You should have a careful read through it. I am going to hit the highlights here, but there's more in the syllabus, and you are responsible to know all of those contents. I'm Kelly Shorland, your instructor for the course. You can call me Dr. Shorland or Kelly. I suppose my preference is probably Miss. That's just my old-fashioned newfie shining through. My office is in the Chemistry Physics building, room 3058. You can all usually find me in there, and you're welcome to drop in anytime the door is open. Otherwise, you can get me through email, kshorlin@mun.ca. I do also have Brightspace email, but I am quicker to respond to my Mun email, so that's the better choice. I also use Snapchat for course communication. You don't have to, but if that's something you use, then that can be a quick way to communicate about problems you're working on. I have a YouTube channel with just some extra worked examples and things like that up there, so you can have a look anytime you're looking for extra information. I will be keeping office hours this semester. For the month of January, office hours will be online. Sometimes I might plan out a structured session. I'll let you know when that's coming up if you'd like to join. Otherwise, you can contact me and we'll make an appointment to meet online. After January 31st, hopefully we're back in person and I'll have my office hours in my office Mondays and Wednesdays at 3 o'clock. Those will be drop-in, or you can email me and we can set up a separate appointment. All of the course information will be coordinated through Brightspace, so you should be able to find that when you log into Brightspace. The syllabus is up now, as I mentioned. You should have a thorough read through that. I'll primarily communicate through the announcements tool. That's on the front page of Brightspace. What else? I'll have lecture notes up there, homework problems and solutions, reminders of dates and your assignments. Office hours will be coordinated through WebEx on Brightspace, so pretty much everything will be up there on Brightspace, and it is your responsibility to keep an eye on it to make sure you're not missing anything. The official textbook for the class is University Physics with Modern Physics by Young and Friedman. This is the book I'll be following along, but really any first year calculus-based textbook should do the trick. Not much has changed in the past few hundred years, so the topics are all pretty much the same. We're not using Mastering Physics, so you don't need to buy a brand new textbook with a Mastering Physics access code, but you should have a book. There's going to be times you want to read a little bit more or try some extra problems, so I recommend you get a textbook. We're going to cover electric charge, force, field, potential, and energy. We'll cover circuits in depth. We'll do lots about magnetic fields and then round off with the nature of light. It's a pretty good coverage of topics, and I hope you'll find it interesting. Since we're beginning the semester remotely, you will need internet access, so I recommend that you first have a device that will connect to the internet. Computer is probably preferred, but if you have to, if you don't have a computer accessible to you, you can do the entire class using a cell phone or a tablet. You'll also need regular, reliable access to the internet. You don't necessarily have to have Wi-Fi in your home, but you should be able to at least go to a place that has Wi-Fi on a regular basis to access your classes and your assignments and so forth. Hopefully we are going to be back beginning in February, but we may have to switch back and forth between internet or between remote and in person. So it'll be a good idea to have access to the internet for the whole semester. For our lectures, they're going to be remote and asynchronous up to January 31st, and hopefully we'll be in person after that. I'm not going to try and have synchronous classes because sometimes it can just be a little bit too complicated to get everybody online at the same time. So I think asynchronous is the way to go. Hopefully we can hang in there for only 10 classes. The best way to approach your classes is first to get ready before class. I'll post some template lecture slides before our lectures begin. They'll usually go up chapter by chapter on Brightspace. Have a look at those slides. You might want to print them off on paper, or you might wish to open them up on some sort of PDF writer on a tablet or a laptop. So have a look at those. Get yourself familiar with what's coming. You might want to read some sections of the textbook before we get started, just so you have some good ideas about before we get going. And then during the lectures, either the remote ones or the in-person, add notes to your slides as we go. There's a well-established connection between brain and body, and the act of writing notes helps you absorb and retain the material. So I really recommend that you add those notes as we go. After class, have a look at your notes. I'll be posting the notes that I've added notes to. Compare the two and make sure you fill in anything you missed. I'll frequently give you what I call a homework question. It's not something you have to do for credit. It's just something for extra practice. So try those after the classes. Work on your homework assignments or work on your handwritten assignments to be passed in. And then get in touch with me if you have any questions at all. If we clear up small problems right away, then they don't turn into big problems. Hopefully, it'll help you stay on top. One tip I'll give you while we have to learn remotely is that you do your lectures on time. So pick 3 hours a week that are going to be your lecture hours, and you might even want to have them at the scheduled class times, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon. But pick 3 hours and don't deviate from them. Make a commitment. It's probably kind of easy to get behind on remote lectures, and then it's pretty hard to catch up. So try and stay on top of it as best you can. So here's your distribution of grades. I've got everything on the one slide. It's handy to have it all together. So your labs will have its own Brightspace page for lab information. You should find that when you log into Brightspace. It'll be called Physics 2055 Labs. Your contact person, your primary contact person for the labs will be Mr. Edward Hayden, ehayden@mun.ca. Of course, you can contact me anytime at all, but he is the most familiar with the labs. Labs will be held in person in room 3061. We do have a pretty large space for the labs, so everybody will be spread out, and everybody entering the lab will be given a brand new N95 mask to wear, so we are taking all the prescribed precautions. I don't quite remember how many labs there are. There are either 8 or 9, and you're expected to finish all of the labs. You do have to pass the lab component of the course in order to pass the course itself. So even if you're getting straight A's on your tests and assignments and you get a fail in the lab overall, you would end up failing the course. Okay, so you have to pass the labs. It's not that difficult to do. Really, you just have to show up and put in some effort. There's lots and lots of help to be had in the labs. That'll get you a pass. If you show up to the labs and sort of exert a fair amount of effort and ask lots of questions, you'll probably get an A in the labs and find it brings up your course grade. You don't need a lab book, and I think that's most of what I wanted to say there. I'd like to stress that the labs are intended to be a learning environment for you. You're encouraged to ask all of the questions you want. So we're going to have lab staff and TAs. I'll be there from time to time. And we all want to help you succeed. So make sure you do ask questions whenever they come up and let us know how you're doing in the labs. Term tests will be in person. We'll have 2 tests in this course. They'll be held in the classroom in the class period, and the final exam will also be in person. Your assignments are not online. They're kind of the old school assignments where I'll give you questions and you'll write out answers on paper and submit them. They're going to be almost weekly. I think I won't give you an assignment on test weeks, but otherwise you'll probably have one a week. Make sure you work nice and neatly and clearly. And these assignments will have to be submitted hard copies to get graded. So hopefully you'll be able to submit those in the lab periods or something like that. So we'll work out the details on how the submission will be. Okay, I don't love having to bring this up, but the prevalence of some pay-per-use sites makes me have to address it. And that's academic integrity. And in general, students are expected to maintain very high standards of academic integrity. So what that means is that even though hopefully you're going to be working with your peers, because working together and talking to other people is a super way to help yourself learn and help each other learn. When it comes time to submit work, all of that work has to be completely independent. You can't copy it off anybody else, and you can't copy it off the internet. It has to be your own words and your own work. Any of the information from the course, the lecture notes, the assignments, the tests, anything like that, none of that is allowed to be uploaded to any website whatsoever, including the pay-per-use sites like Chegg and Bartleby. Um, if those get uploaded online, not only is it academic misconduct, it's also theft of intellectual properties. A lot of those penalties can be very harsh, and I do have to report them and penalize them. So just to summarize, please, by all means, work with other people. It's a super thing to do, but when you come to do your work, it all has to be your own independent work. This is another clip from the calendar, and this is what happens if you have to miss an evaluation. You can, of course, read this if you wish. The gist of it is if you were out sick for fewer than 5 days and you miss an evaluation, oh, and it could be sick or bereavement, just a valid reason. So if you're away for fewer than 5 days and you miss an evaluation, you have to contact me from your MUN email within 48 hours. If I get that contact for you, then I come up with some sort of alternate evaluation for you so that you're not receiving a 0 for that evaluation. And it could be makeup work, or it could be changing the evaluation scheme for you. Sort of depends on what makes sense for your specific situation. If you're out for 5 days or longer, it's still the same deal. If you miss an evaluation, I need to hear from you within 48 hours. The only change is that you may have to submit a medical note or a bereavement note to go with it. So 2055 can be a little bit of a challenging class, lots of interesting things to study and learn, but I really believe that everyone can do well, and certainly an A is achievable for anybody who puts the work in. I do have a few strategies for success for you. First of all, I suggest you do your best to stay on top of your lectures, like we already went through on the lectures slide. To those tips, I would add is that after class, make sure you reach out as soon as you're confused about anything and try your assignments and your homework problems right away. So that should help really solidify the ideas. Maybe review those sections of the textbook as well. So really try and stay on top of the lectures that way. You should probably shoot for about 10 hours a week at your physics class. That'll probably be the amount of work you'll find you're putting in to really stay on top of things. I recommend you try and stay organized, and for me that means I have to use a calendar. I use a paper desk calendar. Some people like a large wall calendar or a calendar on their phone, but everything should go in your calculator. When you're going to do your lectures, when are your labs, when are your tests, when are you going to be studying, when are your due dates, of course your leisure time as well. So get it all in a calendar, set reminders if you need to. And then try and stick to it as best you can. It'll help you stay on top of things. It'll give you a focus. If you're feeling stuck, help can be had in a few places. I recommend you work with your classmates. A lot of classes like to set up I can never remember the name. I think it's a Discord or a discourse. Discord. Lots of times classes have a Discord where students talk to each other. That's a great thing to do. Sometimes Facebook group chats can be useful. So those are really good so you guys can talk to each other. I'm always around to ask for help. The Help Center you can use for some things, but not everything. Help Center is primarily for first year students, but 2055 bridges first year a little bit, so some topics are okay. For example, when we do the electric fields of continuous charge distributions, the Help Center would be okay with helping you out with that material if you're a little confused. When we move on a little later in the course, say we're doing RLC circuits, that would be beyond what you could expect from the Help Center. So they can help with some things, but not everything. And then it's my personal philosophy that if you study a little every day, that's a real good way to put yourself on the path for success. And I try and live by that too. I'm currently trying to learn French, and the image on the screen is my streak for Duolingo. I have studied some French every day for 1,353 days. I'm not I'm not bilingual, but I certainly know more than I did when I started. So if you can keep a physics streak, and by that I mean you do some physics every single day between the first day of classes, that's January the 10th, and the last day of classes, I don't remember exactly when that is, but if you do some every single day, and I mean every single day, even if you're under the weather, even if you've got a movie marathon planned, even if you're just sick of school, but if you do some every single day without missing, then you will win a prize and I will give you a prize. Okay, so I challenge you all to keep a physics streak, and hopefully at the end of the semester, I'll have to give one out to everybody in the class, and you will enjoy your prize. Last, and arguably the most important, is your own well-being. These are pretty challenging times right now and have been for a while. If you're struggling, then it's not just you. You are not alone with the things you're going through. And there are a lot of resources out there to help you. I've got a list of a few things in the course syllabus, the last couple of pages, so there's a lot of different specific places you can reach out for different things. The two I would guide you to the most often would be Student Wellness. That's available through MUN. They offer services in person and online. They're there for whatever physical and mental health needs you have. So they're there to support you and help you through what you're doing. The Blunden Center is there if you need course-related accommodations or support. So I care very much that you do well this semester and kind of do well as a person, not just a student. So I want things to go well for you. If you're struggling, please reach out. If you don't see the support that's right to you, then please ask me. Maybe I can help, maybe I can't, but I won't give up until I find the person who can help.